Welcome back to JUCO Jam. I'm Nick Nielsen. This is episode 7. With me always is the most knowledgeable person in all of junior college basketball. It's Brandon Goebel.
That's
Mr.
not
Goebel,
even
thanks for
true a
being
little
here.
bit. It's not even true a little bit. The stuff that you pull out in our group conversations, just the rest of us are all like, what is he talking about? Like, I don't,
I
wealth of
think
knowledge.
one thing for sure is you have the best shirt game in all of junior college basketball.
I like the hat. The hat is, let's
The
be
hat
honest,
is so
the hat is
good.
fire.
I'd like to see something from the Nets Drazen Petrovic era or the Alex English Nuggets era.
I've got the English stuff. I do need to get the Petrovich, you know, Nets
For
stuff.
those playing along, between now and next episode, we're going to post a couple of JUCO Jam bingo cards on one of our Twitter profiles, maybe both, so you can play along. We'll play JUCO Jam bingo. Drazen Petrovic will probably be a square. So stay with
There's
us. We
like
got more
the
fun,
main square. Is that just his face is the middle? Like everybody gets a Drazen, right?
especially as we talked about last time in our six man, just the internationalization of junior college basketball. It's only right to have some international flavor in the middle square.
True. True story.
So let's get into the rewind, shall we?
Okay.
Let's start with last Thursday. We're talking whack-jack basketball. Couple of bangers. Frank Phillips in Midland, Howard in New Mexico. The home teams won. Midland defeats Frank Phillips 76-71. Antoine Hearns, who I believe is coming off of a JA 48 invite with 32 and 6. And Aleem Fezzik, 18 points for Frank Phillips, hit 6 threes. What a beautiful shot he has. And then New Mexico, 66-57. Jaden Spearman led New Mexico with 21, hit 5 out of 8 threes. Talk Whack-Jack last Thursday.
Yeah, the Amity train rolling there down in Midland. Fezzik committed to Pacific, I believe. So they got to be excited about seeing him just bury shots. Antoine Hearns, one of the best freshmen in the country. Big time player, big time future. And yeah, New Mexico has been an interesting kind of up and downy sort of team. We'll get into some of the downy later versus the uppy here. But
You know what? Nobody can ever take away that mid-court logo
no,
is majestic
yeah, it's
and
glorious. Yeah.
it's glorious. All right.
Yeah,
Saturday,
Howard
we have
Howard's struggling though. Howard on the struggle bus a little bit. Missing their big men to injury. It's tough.
Tate McKenzie.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
So lots of issues there in the paint, but if anybody can get him righted soon, hopefully it's Coach Coop, so they'll get it figured out.
Stay with us. We have more Howard talk later in the segment. So little teaser. All right. Saturday, the Vincent's Trailblazers, the fighting coach Todd Franklin's with a big 102-78 victory at home versus Lakeland, 5 Trailblazers in double figures. Travell Bryson had his best game of the year. He had 24 points. He just destroyed his ankle earlier in the year, like couldn't do anything for a month, but he's coming around. Dayton Williams, the 6'4" lefty freshman with almost a triple-double, 10, 14, and 9. Only one turnover as well. A great game for him. And let's transition to Florida. We had two really good games going on in Florida. Daytona State in overtime, 80-75 over the Eastern Florida State Titans. There is no box score, but by all accounts, many good things happened. We watched many of them. We group texted about it. Isaiah Dorcius, I
Good player.
think, while not a point guard at Daytona, I think that he would be a terrific combo guard, point guard at the Division I level. I think his best basketball is ahead of him.
Yeah, he's got the ability to do that, and we'll talk about uh, another guard from that team later as to why Dorcius plays more of the two. But yeah, definitely a really good player, really capable. Coach Canton's is loaded up. That was actually a really good game by Eastern Florida. Came up a little bit short because Daytona is loaded.
Yeah, definitely a team capable of winning the national championship, as is Eastern Florida. I mean, those were two terrific teams. Eastern Florida hit a stretch in the second half where they played terrific basketball, and then Daytona just grinded away, got it to overtime. Too much Falcons at the end of the day. And then as we transition to the Panhandle, Pensacola stays red hot with a 63-56 win over Steve DeMayo's Northwest Florida Raiders. For Northwest, Davion Hill, Dwayne Pierce, 15 apiece. For Pensacola, Marion Savage with 18. Will Vassar had 14. Dimitri Clerk, one of our favorite big guys, 9 and 9. Will Vassar seems like he hits four threes every single night out. And I'm gonna batch another game with this because it was a 4 o'clock game. Cali defeated Butler 69-59. It felt closer than a 10-point game. Butler 7 out of 32 from three, really struggled to shoot the ball. That's kind of been a theme for Butler. In the games they lose, they have struggled to hit a decent clip from three. So in those kind of, Northwest Pensacola, Butler, Cali, any big thoughts, any deep thoughts there from you, Brandon?
Pensacola is probably one of the biggest stock risers right now. Playing great. They kind of cover all areas of the court with talent. They have a big man that can really get things done in the paint, both defensively and can score the ball. They've got great guard play. They're a very, very, very good team that now is kind of coming from behind a little bit to start getting into the argument for an at-large bid if they can keep things going. And then Butler Cali, Butler a very good team, just couldn't get the threes to drop. That Jayhawk is just so tough. You can't have an off shooting night like that and expect to really kind of be there, at the end. So, but they'll get that turned around real quick.
Now, Brandon, the good games kept on rolling as the day went on. Snow, 110 to 82 Golden Eagle points at CSI. Snow had six guys in double figures. Pretty much everyone who threw up a shot went in. Snow hit 15 out of 30 from three and hit 57% of their shots from the game. And sticking with the blowout theme, Indian Hills, too much on the war on four, 81-57 over the Blackhawks. Uh, Abdoulaye Fall with 18 and 8. Will Casey with 17. I thought both of those Indian Hills forwards were really good. Any takeaways for you for those for that nightcap action?
Yeah, Snow. It's overwhelming. Like when the guys are all clicking together and he's got them, playing for and with each other in a way that is going to be tough to beat on any given night. Doesn't matter if they're on the road or not. They can just bring shot makers from everywhere. And then Indian Hills is similar, but in the sense that like they're just killing you with athleticism all over the place. They do have shot makers, but they can really just get up and down the floor. They can grab rebounds. They play their best when Will Casey, drives to the basket and is really rebounding and, stuff like that. And he was doing a lot of that night. It just creates so many mismatch nightmares. It creates a lot of open shots outside when he does things like that. So, and then Abdoulaye Fall has just slowly but surely kind of continued the climb to show how talented he is. So I think having two guys like that can attack the rim, that are athletic, that can make shots, that can grab rebounds at great size, like that's a lot to deal with. The game that maybe we could see at Hutch that would just be incredible is like Snow and Indian Hills into
Mm.
very different styles of play. Uh, Crashing into each other would be a hell of a game to watch.
That would be a lot of fun. Indian Hills just so much depth and athleticism at the guard position. It's like they have six or seven guys that are kind of interchangeable parts. But Fall, Casey, those are the guys that make Indian Hills tick at a very high level. Monday night in the Whack Jack, Midland another win, 78-68 over New Mexico. South Plains gets a much needed road victory. Those are going to be really hard to come by in the Whack Jack, especially amongst those top six. 87-76 over Howard. Any takeaways from last night in the Whack Jack?
The Midland is maybe the team with the target on them now. The way that they're playing, and South Plains needed that kind of right the ship, get things headed in the right direction. Unfortunately for Howard, just another case of just not having enough depth, succumbing to those injuries. We're going to start getting to the point here soon where we're going to be checking, who's where in the regional standings to make
Not
the
so
playoff.
fast, Brandon. Not so fast. Let's go there. Let's go there right
Oh, we're doing
now.
that now. We're doing it now.
Only it's not. Hey, we're 8 weeks from Hutch. We're 8 weeks out.
I, I
We
couldn't
can't.
believe.
we can't start the at-large watch soon enough and even do projection of what the Region 5 bracket might look like. All right,
Well,
here we go. Midland 4-0,
mhm.
South Plains, the Texans 4-1, Frank Phillips 3-2, Odessa 3-2. So those would be the four teams who would go to the region tournament. Now, I know because we're talking West Texas, you would want to know, and indeed I am going to let you know, that Mobius and the Richland Thunder Ducks do lead the DAC with a 5-1 record. They are a full game ahead of Northlake at 4-2.
Okay.
And that's your Division 3 coverage for today. As we move to Kansas, Cali 11-1, Coffeyville 10-2, Hutch and Butler both 9-3. Hutch has won seven straight, though, surging. Blue
Surgeon.
Dragons breathing fire.
Mm.
Barton in fifth place at 8-4. Finally, in the Panhandle, Pensacola 3-0. They are 9-1 in their last 10. Chipola and Northwest Florida, two Hall of Fame coaches there, 1-1 each.
Lot going on there. Lot
So
going on.
much. But we're
You
eight
know,
weeks from
probably the
Hutch.
least
The people
surprising
want
thing,
this.
Mobius. Mobius on the rise here doesn't surprise me at all.
Not at all. And that's going to end the rewind, and we're going to transition right to the rundown where we're going to look ahead, shall we? Look ahead at this week's games. And Tuesday, which is tonight as we record this, we like Mississippi basketball too. We had Coach
Mhm.
Newton Mueller on last week. Northeast Mississippi takes on Itawamba. Itawamba coming off a big win over Jones. Northeast, the Fighting Cord Rights have already beaten Itawamba once this year, 80-70. That's going to be a fantastic game. Tomorrow night, Barton at Hutch. A couple of those teams tied for third place go head to head. And then I'm going to give you two more. Thursday, CSI at Salt Lake, an almost must-win game for Salt Lake, and then Frank Phillips at New Mexico, almost a must-win game for New Mexico. So four games: Northeast Mississippi, Itawamba, Barton Hutch, CSI Salt Lake, Frank Phillips, New Mexico. Big thoughts. What do you think there, Brandon?
I think Itawamba is playing really, really well right now. I think they're one of the more underrated teams in the country. Cordwright can coach, and so this is a great opportunity for Northeast, given their non-conference schedule, to get a big signature win on their plate. Um, Barton Hutch, of course, great game. More Jayhawk, just craziness, and loaded with talent there. But yeah, Salt Lake and CSI both, they both need to win, right? It's kind of the luster's coming off a little bit with both of them, and so they need to get a really good win and find a way to kind of make a drive here these last 6 7 weeks of the season. And then Frank Phillips, New Mexico. New Mexico definitely needs to probably grab one here. I wouldn't count either one of them out, regardless of the result. But Frank Phillips is a very, very good team too, and could grab a win here and use that as a real springboard to finishing the season strong. So, gonna
Especially a road win. A road win
yeah.
against one of the big six. They're going to be hard to come by. They mean a
Yep.
lot when you can get them. Brandon, we've got five amazing games on Saturday. I'm going to give them to you two at a time here to start off with. Harkin Monroe, just a battle in the East, and then Pensacola versus Gulf Coast. And you know what? I'm going to throw a third one at you. We'll make it. I'll give you a little bit more ammunition. I'm going to throw in Gillette Casper. So of that triple play, what gets you the most excited?
Boy, probably Harkham Monroe, which is maybe not what people would think. I think it's just those are two really talented teams. They have really good players, and it just is what it is. It's difficult to see them against top competition a lot of times. So when they go head to head, for me, it's always a must watch because this is one of the better opportunities to see them playing other very high level talent.
And you have to respect what both of them have done. They went out and they played the Snows and the Salt Lakes out west. They bring in Northwest Florida. They both have a win over Northwest Florida under their belts. I think it's going to be exciting to watch Gillette Casper because I think those are two teams that can really score the basketball, and that's going to be like a 102-97 type of game. It's just going to be a fun game if you like watching points in a non-All-Star, NBA All-Star game format. And then finally, Brandon, I'm going to give you two to end this segment with. the red hot Moberly Greyhounds versus Southeastern. And then we have the battle of two great Hall of Fame coaches, Northwest Florida and Chipola. Give me your thoughts on those two closing games.
Yeah, two teams headed in the opposite direction right now from Moberly and Southeast. Southeastern really has a great opportunity to get a signature, like a major signature home win here. Moberly is trying to make their case for why they are a national championship contender. And so, to really, really be in that discussion, you got to go probably grab a road game like this and kind of establish that, you're playing at a different level than everybody else. So, big time game there. And then Northwest Florida and Chipola, two legendary coaches. Northwest Florida needs to right the ship a little bit, just with, finding some consistency. Just some of that inconsistency this year that I'm sure is driving Coach DeMeo up the walls. But if they can somehow go get a huge road win here, I think that'll go a long ways to what it means for them for the rest of the season.
First team to 60 wins.
100%.
And honestly, neither one of these teams might meet it, might get there in that matchup. But man, we have just an amazing week ahead. Make sure you highlight your calendar with some of those games. You can't go wrong. We talked about these. There's many more, but at least of these 9 games, mark your calendar. You don't want to miss them. And if you have, this Saturday we had three great games at the 4 p.m. Eastern slot. Be prepared. Get a couple screens going. Be
How good
prepared.
was 4 o'clock on Saturday? Oof.
4 o'clock was amazing. Cali Butler, Eastern Daytona, Lakeland, Vincennes. You had it all. You had a little bit of everything going on at 4 o'clock, and we had three good games.
Sure.
Speaking of good games, John A. Logan, red hot, smoldering. When we return, we're going to have Coach Tyler Smithpeters of John A. Logan in the spotlight with us.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are so excited to have with us Coach Tyler Smithpeters from John A. Logan, the head vol. Coach Smithpeters, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it a lot.
Coach, you kind of got spoiled. First season as a head coach, you win a national championship. What was that like? I mean, did it feel too easy?
Very spoiled, very spoiled. I tell people, I joke around all the time, is 1 year as a head coach, one national championship. I should have just retired, gone to something different, just go out on top. But
Just
no,
joined your brother's law firm, call it a day.
yeah, exactly. There we go.
So
Um,
one of the things that I respect so much about you and the John A. Logan program is that you're not afraid to schedule the best teams in the country. And I think you have one of the strongest schedules again this year, if not the strongest schedule in the entire country. And I don't think you get enough national recognition because of it. Just talk a little bit about your thoughts of going out and trying to play the best schedule that you can possibly put together for your guys.
well, I think the biggest thing is just for our guys that want to get recruited is, I mean, you go up against the other top teams in junior college and top players. So I mean, it's one of those things where if someone's going to get recruited and our player's one of them, like, well, he's played against Indian Hills, Triton twice, Moberly, all these teams, and then they can go to those games because that's legit competition. And it helps us at the end of especially in region, just playing a tough non-conference schedule for the fact that like we went on the road to Lakeland, and it's a tough environment. You have their volleyball team, their baseball team, all there, but that's not our first true road game where you have to go to Three Rivers and Middle Area and all these teams. And I think that's the biggest thing. It just gets us ready for region/conference schedule and to be playing at our best in February and March.
I think you guys are playing so well right now. You're 8-2 in your last 10. Only defeats were to Moberly Vincennes. After those back-to-back Moberly Vincennes games, you guys have won 5 straight. And I think you can, not that everybody's played their part. I get that. But you have this quintet of freshmen: Jaden Miles, DeCarl Payne, Davius Lowry, Taylor Smith, Marcus Eves. I feel like we place so much emphasis on what happens in the month of November, and rightfully so. It's important for teams to play a strong schedule. But these freshmen that you have today look completely different than what they looked like in November. Talk a little bit about the maturation of these guys getting some minutes and how they're playing right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, shoot, Nick, and as you know, and Brandon as well, it's one of those where, I mean, we play legit six true freshmen, and I think four of them are starting right now, which it's just one of those things. And kind of going back to the tough non-conference schedule, I mean, it's the easiest way to describe it is we kind of just throw our guys in the fire and just you learn. I think you become a better basketball player as the year goes on, obviously with the experience, but just playing those types of teams and those types of players, especially early on, it gives that experience um, much quicker in the way of when we do get into the grind of a season. Say it's right now is pretty much a grind where we're playing Wednesday, Saturday every week, um, and just pretty much going along with how our non-conference was is just playing 3 games or 2 games a week and just having that mentality of, man, hey, guess what? We played Indian Hills on Friday, lost by 2. Well, I'm sorry, we don't have time to dwell over it. We got to play Triton the next day at 2 p.m. or at 3 p.m. I think that has done a really good job for our guys, especially our freshmen. Our sophomores have done a great job of leading them as well, just to be ready to go for the next game. And it's, like I said, the experience part of playing those tough teams and that tough non-conference has been great.
Just as kind of watching your team from afar, a fan as I am, it seems like maybe the sophomores put a little bit too much pressure on themselves, maybe early in the season. And I feel like as the freshmen have matured and developed in their roles and found their lanes, I feel like maybe the sophomores have had an easier time adapting into the roles that you have them. I know you're a big Mackey's guy, and it's, like sitting down to a great pizza and having a nice ice cold Pepsi, and you get Caden Hawkins is like 3 shots of vanilla. And I feel like he's really played well, pushed the ball, and probably played his best basketball over the last month of the season.
Yeah, no, and Cade's been awesome. And I talked to him the other day actually against when we played at Swick, and we did not shoot it well at all. Um, Caden came out with 0 points, but then you look at the stat sheet, he has 6 assists or 7 assists with 5 rebounds, 0 turnovers, and that's huge, especially coming from a sophomore. And as I try to tell our guys, I mean, you can change the game or affect the game in any way other than just scoring. There's so many different ways that you can change the outcome of the game. And Caden's done a really good job of figuring that out to where, hey, and our guys are as well, freshmen and sophomore, just, hey, you're not going to go score 20 every night. I mean, teams at this level, they scout, they have a game plan ready to go. It might be someone different every night. But the biggest thing is winning and doing what we need to be able to have a chance to win.
I want to ask you one other easy softball question before I turn it over to Brandon. I want to go way back, if we can, to
Yeah.
2020, the COVID year. So Vincennes wins the national title in 2019, and you guys lock horns 3 times in 2020, play one of the best games in junior college basketball history as you win the
Mhm.
district title in Rend Lake. Jay Scrubb, Craig Porter, 2 guys that have an NBA future ahead of them. How confident were you that John A. Logan goes to the 2020 tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas, and walks away with at least a Final Four, if not a national championship?
The way we were playing at that time, there was absolutely no question at all. To be honest with you, I thought it would be no question that we'd probably be in the national championship game. Just the way that the guys gelled, especially um, in the region tournament, to where, I mean, Vincennes was really, really good, as we talk about Craig Porter and all that. And this was the one time because I don't really tell this story much, but Jay Scrubb is literally in warmups, doesn't say a word. in warmups. I'm like, okay, gets out there, has probably one of the best games of his JUCO career. And it's like, if we can have that every game, if you don't want to say anything to anybody, I completely understand because you just played unbelievable. But for that team, there would be no question because obviously you had Jamarian Sharp, Sidney Curry, Eric Boone, Trace Young. We just had all the pieces that fit into winning a national championship.
It is one of the great what ifs that's fun to think about, but I'm sure also painful to think about. At least you went
Yeah.
out with a win.
Yes, that is very true. You won the last game. That's all you can ask for.
Well, I get the honor of the last question, the hardest one, honestly, for anybody. Probably the hardest one you'll face all year. So,
Okay, I'm ready.
yeah. All right, big win. Doesn't matter, home, road, whatever. But you say, you know what, the guys need something special, and to celebrate this win, I'm going to take them to Chili's. What are you eating at Chili's, Coach?
I usually go with the Cajun pasta.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. We
That's
got like a blackberry tea or something to wash that down with, or what do we?
now you know me. I'm a Coca-Cola Classic type of guy, so it is hard to beat a nice Coca-Cola Classic after a win.
Okay. All right. You know what? He knows what he likes. He keeps it simple, focused. We're all about winning and filling our stomachs here. We're not about doing
Oh,
anything.
100%. 100%.
All right, bonus question for you, Coach. I said this would be the last question. Bonus. I know you're a big fan of a Rally Burger. They shut that
Yep.
down for you. I'm a big fan of Taco Tierra and Mount Carmel. What's the best destination in Region 24 post game meal?
Oh,
We
well, it
can't
was
include
rallies.
Maggie's, and I like the Harrisburg special. But what
Yeah.
else do you have?
Well, obviously it was rallies. I don't know if our players liked it as much as the coaching staff did, but they're probably happy now that it's closed down. Um, that's a
We
good
got Monocles
question.
in a couple locations.
Monocles is good. I think it's called Joe's Pizza as well. I think that's an Alney, which is pretty solid. We've had that a few times. There might be one in Mount Carmel as well. Uh, at Southwestern Illinois, we always go to Chick-fil-A because it's literally right across the street. So that's an easy one. I mean, that's a tough one. I'll be honest, the best place would probably be around Carterville just because there's so many different options. You have Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, um, Raising Cane's. There's just quite a few options.
So for coaches who are in the area scouting Region 24, before you make meal plans, check in with Coach Smithpeters. He'll give you the best food options for the town you're going to be at, as well as
Yep.
tell you about some of his guys. Coach, we appreciate you joining JUCO Jam with us this afternoon.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Best of luck the rest of the way. When we return, we will get into the best players in junior college basketball.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are in the grind. We're going to talk about one of the best players in all of junior college basketball. Let's talk about Tyrese Lacey, the 5'8" point guard from Daytona State. Brandon, I know you're a big fan. He's averaging about 10 points, 8 rebounds a game, hitting 42% of his threes. I know we both watched the game Saturday versus Eastern Florida. Tell me about what you like about Tyrese and what you're hearing coaches say about him.
Well, what I love most about Tyrese is he's averaging 8 assists a game, not 8 rebounds. That would be something if he was averaging 8 rebounds, like you said. The 8 assists that he is averaging,
That's
um,
more impressive. Yeah, 8 assists is good. 8 assists is good too. But yeah, for 145 pounds, 8.4 rebounds would be beyond
That would be
amazing.
something. That'd be
I'm
something.
sure I'm sure Coach Cantons has him in blockout drills right now.
They yell mouse in the house and he says, I don't think so, dog. Yeah, Tyrese Lacey, one of the best freshman players at any position in the country. I do not believe he will be back at Daytona State next season. He will be playing on your TV somewhere in the NCAA Division One level. But a lot of why they're so successful this year is that guy right there. They have tons of talent. They have lots of really good size. They have some really good big wings. The twins that are there from OTE, are phenomenal.
And Jalen Payne, don't forget Jalen Payne, the
Yeah,
House of Payne.
but none of that works without Tyrese Lacey. And so, I just think what he's done this season is exceptional. I think it's also rare. When you really look at the college basketball as a whole these days, it's hard to find real point guards, right? Now, if you're 5'8", you better figure out how to be a point guard because that's all they're going to really ask you to do. Well, I mean, not only has he taken on that role, he's just absolutely thrived in it. And so he's been a ton of fun to watch. And, I have a feeling we will see him in person in Hutchinson, Kansas.
I certainly hope so. We're going to transition now to the show. We're going to talk about an NCAA player doing really well, former JUCO, Jacari White. He's at North Dakota State, the Bison. Did I get that right, Brandon? It's the Bison, and I know you know your northern teams.
Bison. Yeah, the Bison. Yep.
But he was a manatee.
He was a
manatee at the State College of Florida. He's 6'3", 180-pound senior, originally from Orlando. As a junior, one of my favorite things about Jacari, he was first team all defensive team in the Summit. His scoring has increased dramatically every year. This year, 15.6 points per game, 40% from three, 84% from the free throw line, and he's coming off a 32-point game versus South Dakota. I know you're a big fan of Jacari, and you know a little bit about his story.
Yeah, played 1 year of junior college at State College under Tom Parks. We were super excited to have him to JA 48, but as a qualifier, North Dakota State figured it out that hey, maybe we should recruit this guy. When a lot of people weren't figuring it out, which is kind of silly. I mean, it wasn't a secret. Tom Parks, makes sure that everybody knows that his guys are available to recruit, and so. They took the leap and boy did it pay off for him. Has just been exceptional. He's a wonderful kid too. And so watching him be successful, he's somebody who's going to get another year because of the change in the NCAA with everybody receiving. He's basically the same clock timeline as Pavia. I guess Pavia played 2 years of JUCO, but he's going to get that extra year, and so his ability to just kind of continue to raise his pro stock because he is a big, strong guard. I think is a big deal for him, and so it's been awesome to watch him play, and I'm looking forward to watching him keep it going next year.
I love that. We wish him the best of luck. It's fun to watch him as a manatee, and it's great to see that he's doing great things as a bison. When we return, we'll have our sixth man. Stay with us.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now in the sixth man. Brandon, I did some research recently. Since the year 2000, did you know there are 4 teams that have won the national title more than once? Do you
I
want to
didn't.
take a guess?
Northwest Florida,
Yes.
the um, Salt Lake.
Yes. They've each won it twice.
Yep.
Now, the bonus round, teams that have won it thrice, also known as three times.
Okay, three-time winners. South Plains.
Yes.
Um, so we got one more team we're missing, right?
One more team to go. Not from a warm weather area in the Midwest.
Yeah. Why is my brain not working?
It's the good folks in tropical Burlington, Iowa, Southeastern, the Blackhawks.
Oh wow.
We
So
don't
when
give them enough
when were
love.
those? When were those? Because that was really that was before my time.
Early.
Yeah.
Early. Yeah, I think the first one was in 2000. So now, taking it a step further, there are three regions that have had three different teams win a national title. Now, the easy one is Region 5, South Plains, Midland, and Howard. All
Yeah.
right. The next one, I'm going in numerical order, is Region 18, which
Yep.
is Salt Lake, CSI, Dixie State. You didn't think there was going to be a Dixie State reference
I
on
was
this
actually prepared
jam.
for that one as I listened to the question because I knew that one. We
And
don't call
then
it
and,
Dixie State anymore for a reason.
and then the last one, which I think might have some of the most diverse pizza samplings in the entire country, is Region 24. We
Sure.
have Wabash Valley, Vincennes, and John A. Logan. So there are your region of champions. A little historical reference to all the fun stuff here that we do at JUCO Jam.
In our offices, there's a JUCO Jam office that people don't know about. There's a ping pong table. There's two mini fridges. And yeah, we just have a great time.
It's a great time. It's a great time when we gather, tell stories, maybe have a diet or a Mountain Dew Zero. We're
Yeah.
zeros. A
Yeah.
Mountain Dew
I
Zero.
don't know.
Taste the mountain. So Brandon, I know that you wanted to talk about some of these guards that are getting slighted either because they're not tall enough or they're just too thin. Talk about some of these thinner, smaller guards that just aren't getting the love that they deserve.
Yeah, so we talked about Tyrese Lacey earlier, and he's 5'8" on a good day, and about 145 pounds soaking wet, and I don't care. He's really good. And so, this week as I was talking to coaches about guards and stuff, I knew what the answer was going to be with some of these D1 coaches. I said, what do you think about Tyrese Lacey? It's just, it's tough. He's a little guy, and my
If
head.
he was 6'9", we'd take him. If he was six
Yeah,
nine, Brandon, we'd take him.
he was 6'9", 6'9". Even if they said, well, if he was 6'2", well, you couldn't get him if he was 6'2", sir.
Right.
But it is funny. These coaches, kind of like broad brushstrokes, right, on guys being too small. I can't defend at this level and blah blah blah. Guys like Vinny Shahid came through and they were pretty good. Vinny's like 5'9", right? Like realistically. And he's averaging about 16 points a game in Germany right now. Obviously was a monster for North Dakota State. Tyler Perry is in the G League. Won a national championship with Coffeyville. Pretty good, if you're into that kind of thing. Played at Kansas State and North Texas. Phenomenal player. Jason Edwards is not a very big guy.
Right.
Jason
He's a
Edwards
great one.
is kicking everybody's butt and taking names at Vanderbilt right now. And then, you have the whole like, well, he's just not strong enough, whatever. But, Javante Campbell at Bowling Green says, I don't know if that's a thing. Don McHenry at Western Kentucky, phenomenal player, unbelievable player, skinny, right? Like Javante's probably 155 pounds. Don can't be much more than that. So my point is evaluate, like actually really put in the effort to evaluate to see, if the way that you play just says like this is not possible, which but whatever. Fine. But the broad brush of they're just not strong enough, they're just not big enough, is for me just a little bit of a lazy out on not wanting to recruit somebody, because then I think people are terrified of bringing in somebody that's maybe kind of not very big or not very tall, and then somebody says, I can't believe you recruited them, they're short, if they don't do well. It's like, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So.
So there is someone on the worldwide intraweb on the Twitter. He goes by the handle the JUCO plug, and he had a tweet that in today's modern era of basketball evaluation, Allen Iverson would have had to go JUCO, and he would have averaged approximately 172 points per game. Which
I love that guy, by the
there
way.
is some truth to that
Yeah.
people get stuck in, well, he's got to be 6'3", he's got to be 200 pounds, we're looking for a 375 deadlift, you know all of the things. So yeah, it would be great if coaches could just evaluate the player for the player. And you know what, maybe you need to tweak your system if you have a chance to bring in an all league type player. Maybe you're the one who adapts to enhance the overall viability of the program. Brandon, I think this was another great episode. I think episode 7 was another great showcase of all of the great junior college basketball that's happening around the country. I wish you the best. Look forward to doing it at the same time next week. I hope everybody has a wonderful sports week.